Aaron here in the Bowtie Treasure Studio. How are you? I'm Aaron. I'm a content creator here with Dixie. Always happy to be here with you. If you're watching, say hi. Let us know where you're watching from. What have you been up to? I've been crazy busy, and it's time to get back to work, working with you on creative projects. Tonight we're going to be working on a Singer sewing machine. This is what a Singer sewing machine, when it's all put together, looks like. You can see on the left and right there's the drawers. That's what I'm working on tonight. And this is one side of them. I've got the other side as well, but this side was in the best shape. The other three drawers need a little bit more work. In fact, in the photo I'm showing you on my screen, it's missing the knobs. I went ahead and fixed that part. So let me just hide that. But I just want to give you some context because I posted about them and some people didn't know what they were or how they would go on a sewing machine. So that might give you some context. So right here we have my project, and no, I'm not painting it 3 tones. Let me just tell you what we're going to do tonight. I figured it would be a great opportunity to walk you through the steps since I have 3 of them. I'm not going to paint the shelf system, whatever this is called. Later on, I want to demonstrate using Dixie Belle's hemp seed oil. I'm going to use some hemp seed oil just to live freshen up this wood. But overall, the bottom layer this is Dixie Belle Gray B.O.S.S. This is after Dixie Belle Gray B.O.S.S. using sea glass, and this is sea glass with lemonade over it. Tonight, I'm going to do all the steps. The last step I have to do on the top section is I'm going to use Dyke Glaze because I want to really bring out these details, and I think I want to keep this old. And when I bring in the Dyke Glaze, it should bring in some warmth to these pieces, to the drawers, to help complement the original wood. So that's really the vision. I'm not trying to make this super new and fresh. I want to keep it colorful, but at the same time toned down so it's a little bit more in line with being an antique. Let's get right into it. I'm going to pull out the first drawer. Now, just to let you know, on the fronts, I had some extra wood knobs, and I drilled a hole through the back right in here, and I just screwed in a new knob. It's not the original knobs. In fact, the originals are smaller, but I don't have all of them. And I think they look really nice. Just clean, nice surface. In fact, they're a little easier to grab too. So that's the one thing I did since you saw that picture. Let me see if I can show that again. See how there's no knobs? So that's what I've done since then, okay? So everybody gets that. So first thing we're gonna do is, I'm gonna keep it simple as far as what I did to paint this. And I didn't do anything fancy. I just did a basic coat. Oftentimes what I like to do is when I paint with B.O.S.S, it's not unusual for me to use the B.O.S.S as a color. So if you look at the original, it's kind of hard to tell, but if there's some gray B.O.S.S that shows through, I don't really care so much. Hopefully that'll help. So let's jump into this. And I have a misting bottle, and of course I don't have it handy. There's too many things to juggle when you're doing lives like this. There we go, got my misting bottle. I like to put a little water on that. If your paint feels a little thick, sometimes a little water just helps you move it. I'm not doing full coverage. When you're doing something that's a little, what I would consider somewhat antique, aim for the imperfections. Brush strokes are acceptable. And I only did 1 coat of B.O.S.S. You could do 2. I also did clean this with Dixie Belle's White Lightning. It was really dirty, so it needed some extra cleaning, and that worked out really well. So this is step maybe 2. First, clean it with White Lightning. Second, you can use Dixie Belle's White B.O.S.S. I just like the gray because, one, I really don't mind if the gray shows through a little bit. I could take the knob out. It's not glued in there. I could take the knob out and paint in there a little bit better, but again, I'm not too worried about this being perfect, so if I don't get paint all the way in there, it's totally fine. Okay, so on the detailed side, oh, I just stuck my hand in paint. Nice, Aaron, good job. This is why I have this little Lazy Susan and I forget to use it. The disadvantage, this is how I work with Teresa Lee when we paint, is I have this same setup and it's always fun to juggle that. Teresa Lee can totally relate. But hopefully you can see okay. You see how I'm going on this particular technique? I'm gonna go side to side, up and down, front, back. That works just fine. You don't have to use I have this little Lazy Susan thing, that's optional. But because this is not the main color, I am going to put another color over it. This is just a base coat, and you almost can consider the gray B.O.S.S base coat. So wood grain showing through, just keep it simple. So that's all I did with the sea glass on this middle drawer. So this, now, and I'm not gonna put these all the way back in right now because I don't want to put the wet paint on the drawer. So we're going to put this to the side. If we need to, I'll get out my heat gun and we'll dry some of these if we need to. So I'm going to put that brush to the side and I'm going to get another brush. I could just wipe off that brush even though, because I'm using lemonade. And let me just talk color harmony, color theory. The green, or the sea glass, is a little bit opposite of on the color wheel because it's more in the blue. And the lemonade, which is more yellow, is opposite, but they kind of have a little bit of the same colors. So bottom line, I chose this color because they're a little bit of opposite, and you can kind of see a little bit how well they complement. Now, you see it, how it's coming along. I'm gonna hold it like this because I think I can see, we both can see. See how I'm going up and down, left and right? And the part of the idea there is just going with a rough paint job, not a, if you do that, it's probably gonna keep you a little bit more, less refined because you're not doing a complete. I'm not misting this right now because the lemonade is really, it's a little thinner from, this container's a little thinner. But I want you to see how I'm not, you see how I'm not painting all of it? I'm leaving some of the sea glass through. If you paint it all, then it's like, why did we just paint sea glass? So leave some of the sea glass. If you see some of the B.O.S.S, great, leave it. Okay, you're just doing a rough coat there. You can see some right there. It's not. Okay, so now we're getting to the detailed side. And what you don't want to do is, again, put color all the way in the middle. Feel free to let some of the cracks. So I'm not jabbing any paint in there. If this is 50 years old, make it look like over time it's been painted a couple times. That's really the faux finish we're going for. Have you ever thought how often you paint something that really what you're doing is a faux finish? You're trying to simulate the look of age and worn and distressed. I don't know if distress is as popular nowadays. You guys can help me make that decision. Shabby chic maybe is, I don't know if that's still in or not, but I don't do a lot of it as much as I did, not because I don't like it, but anyways, so you see how it's coming around? You see how you can still see some of the teal around the, we'll call it floret or decorative area. I don't want to wipe all the sea glass out. So just get it in there. Since I have another set of these, I'll probably treat them in a different way. I'm not trying to make them all 6 drawers match. And I may have to do a little bit of repair on the other set. Okay. So, whoa. You like my juggling skills? I went to school for that. Let me just show you the side again. So again, you can see it's not perfect, all right? So now we have 2 drawers. The top 2 drawers are at the same stage now. And I'll just set this off to the side. Let me just paint some more on the knob area. Now, the one thing you can do to this technique is you can, I think it would still be appropriate to distress this. So, and Dixie Belle, thanks for your help on that. So this is a dried one. I did this one yesterday. And you can see how the 2 colors are freshly complementing one. I say freshly because I think it's a fresh look. It's a very spring look. I think it would look good with plants. I think it would look good with jars, any kind of home organization. But it's still a little flat. So this is where I'm going to say explore. This is not the only option. This is Van Dyke Glaze. Van Dyke Glaze is what it is, a glaze. And keep in mind, glaze typically has a little bit of top coat in it, so you might see a little bit of a sheen. So it's almost getting you where you need to go, but it has a little bit of a slicker feel, so you're able to move it and it stays more active longer. Active as in wet. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't mist. You can do glaze over top coat, but I usually do it over my paint. I just like to keep the surface wet so I can move it quicker. I do have a wet rag. This is what I'm going to use as my wipe or eraser, if you will. So here's what we're going to do. Let's just do this one side. Just a quick mist. Then I'm going to take, this is Dixie Belle's Flat Small, but this is all I've been using tonight. You can use other glazes. You can also use chalk paint for this. Just get the surface wet before you use chalk paint. You can mix your own color. You can use Dixie the dirts if you want. So I'm just going to put this on. What this is going to do is what we can almost consider antique it. We're taking a little bit of that freshness away, but the color is going to still be there because we're going to wipe it off. And I'm going to go ahead and do the top while I'm doing that one side. So definitely, if on this detail, you want to get it into the cracks and crevices, because that's where this, we'll call it almost the dirt, should go. And now I'm going to take, you can do a dry rag or a wet rag. It's up to you how much you want to take off. So you see how I'm kind of going in a straight line? That's not really required. Feel free to go in, you can dab it if you want. If you want to add a little bit more texture, I kind of like that look too. And I'm not trying to wipe all the glaze off, but I definitely want to leave it in the crevices. And you just wipe off to taste. What I mean by that is how much do you want to leave and how much you want to remove. I think I'd like to go a little bit more. So I'm going to wipe off a little bit more. I don't want to be that dark. And again, that's the beauty of using the misting bottle. It's going to make it a little easier to even wipe off. From experience, keep in mind that I'm working on a very small surface as opposed to a side of a dresser, which takes a little bit longer. So look how well that pops off the side. Let's keep going, let the magic continue. I'm doing one side at a time. I don't like to work with too much space because this glaze will start drying on you if you don't mist or work quickly. So let me set this down and we're just going to wipe it off. Wipe off as much as or as little as you want. That was pretty quick. And check the other side. You want to kind of blend that in together so they have a nice transition. It's really going pretty quick, right? This side has no character elements on it, if you will. So this should be pretty straightforward. All right, the fun front. So look at it now. You can see it's colorful. It's okay, but we're gonna make all these details pop. I think what I'm gonna do on this one though, is I'm gonna get one of the Dixie Belle's craft brushes because it's a little bit smaller of a space and I really want this, I want the glaze to really get all the way in there because that's where the, we'll call it dirt or the antiquing needs to be in that little. So get it all in there. Like I said, I could probably remove the knob and be a little bit more refined, but I don't want, this is not a refined project. It's not a, so I really would need to make sure I get this all the way in there. If you look up Singer sewing machines, you'll see this is a very common, I'm gonna say somewhat common design pattern you'll see on the boxes. So when you see this, you probably know it's a Singer sewing machine. I do have the stand and the sewing machine was just, it was gone. It was rusty and in bad shape. I have about 2 of them in here in the house, but I couldn't really save the machine. I did save the base and another center drawer, so we'll have fun with it. You see how I'm wiping that off with the wet rag? Just the high points. I am not wiping off inside. If you need to, I might even just kind of spread it out. Let me get a smaller brush. Another one of Dixie Belle's craft brushes. I'm just gonna move some paint around there so I don't have any brush strokes in there. Just kind of moving it. But look at the detail now. You see how well that pops off? And then again on the side. Let me grab the one we just painted. It's not ready for me to do this. It's a little wet still, and if you try and put paint glaze on the not totally cured, you see the difference in how it pops. So this one is the one we just put 2 coats, or I just put lemonade on this, and this one was already dry. So that's the difference. I think it pops really well. Let's take a look at the sides. So this one we did the glaze on. This one does not have glaze yet. Either option works. The glaze is not the perfect solution. The glaze is an option, depending on the look and how fresh you want to be. But to me, I felt like this brought the details out, and it also goes really well with the frame that holds the 3 drawers. So remember, first thing we're going to do is mist it. And then we're going to put some glaze down. Just get it in there quickly and liberally, knowing you're going to wipe a lot of it off. Some of these little, when I got this set, there were a couple of these decorative pieces that were, the glue gets brittle and it just comes off, so I had to glue some of this back on, but nothing a little wood glue can't do. I think I put it on a lot more than I did the last time, but I'm going to wipe it off. Get my wet rag back out, just give it a quick wipe, get the bulk of it off. We did some dabbing, we'll just kind of repeat some of the same processes. And then I think I'll also just get a little swirl in. Just don't remove it off the whole piece. I actually have 2 rags out. One rag's got a little more texture than the other, so you might want to keep to the same rag. I don't think it really matters the way I'm doing it, but just hit the high points. So just to give you a comparison, this one in my right hand is just we just coated with sea glass, right? And then the one in my left hand has sea glass lemonade and Van Dyke. So you can see how we're just adding some layers and adding some age. But the beauty of these products, you can stop at whichever level you want, and it's all good. Okay, I love that Dixie Belle has so many products that you can make it custom to you or whatever look you're going for. And now it should feel right at home in that case. In fact, let's take a look at it. Let's bring our frame back. Let's put this back in there. Just take a look at it. So you can see now how the Van Dyke glaze adds warmth and brown to it to help complement the frame that's already wood. If you haven't done so already, go over to social media world and follow Bowtie Treasures, especially YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. That's always great. Follow my journey, and I'm glad to hear from you anytime. Until next time, I'm Aaron here in the Bowtie Treasure Studio. Be creative, do something awesome. We'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.
That's the end of the show. Make sure you subscribe and ring the bell before you go. Bye.